Hey, it's Max.
It's RJ.
And you're listening to Streaming Cassettes.
Ooh.
Oh, it's to a science. Hunter's getting a hard on here. Listen to our intro.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what are they doing? I thought you guys were going to like start like some Ron Burgundy stuff, like How Now Brown Cow, like warming up the vocals.
I'm Ron Burgundy. But no, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for hopping on. As you see, we have a guest with us this evening. Based off our previous interview was a success, we thought we should have some more interviews, and we have a whole bunch coming down the pipeline. Tonight's interview is not a musician, but he is a connoisseur of audio mastery. That's some deep shit. But this is Hunter, El Prez, the boss, the chief,
boss man
of WOTY, Wingman of the Year.
I guess. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm just honored somebody finally wanted me on their podcast.
Yes, you were on the list. As we are a transparent group here at Wingman of the Year, a little BTS behind the scenes, we had a delay, a cancellation tonight. So Hunter came in the clutch. So that's why he was able to express line up.
You know, next man up.
Next man up.
When I'm needed, I'll be there.
There you go. How you feeling, RJ?
Wingman of the Year.
Damn straight.
WOTY. I like that. We should use that.
What, more often? WOTY?
Yeah, we should WOTY. People can be talking about it, like, what the hell's WOTY?
I said this to Tyler on the Winging It podcast. I thought we should have like a theme song. This was just a stupid idea I have. I have a lot of them. We should get like a remix going, and it would be, you know, the song Booty, 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 Rockin' Everywhere?
Little Bubba Sparks, yeah?
It'd be WOTY, 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 Rockin' Everywhere.
We should. That'd be dope.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. That might not happen.
Bring it out for when we do like the crossover podcast with all of us.
Oh. Yep. Well, I'll be in the music video.
Yeah. WOTY, WOTY, WOTY. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I just feel good that I don't have to edit this podcast or anything after. I'm really excited. I want to have fun with this one. This could be a good episode.
Yeah, you just get to be you. It's kind of nice. You just get to like put your timesheet in and then leave.
It's good. I like this. This is
He's
great.
more prepared than Skip Bayless, actually. He told me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, this is the most preparing I've done for a podcast ever, I think.
Yeah, he was another behind the scenes. We were doing some meeting prep for the network, and he was asking me about tonight's show. And he was shitting bricks on what he was going to do. Like, what do I need? What do I need to understand? I'm like, no, we're just going to do A, B, C, and D and just do you.
Yeah, I'm like, RJ's going to tear me a fucking new one, man. If I'm not ready for my shit.
He said you're the heel of the show.
I pretty much am the Steve.
And I'm the basic bitch.
Yes.
We hold our own. We hold our roles here.
Everyone's got their role.
It's kind of funny that I admit that I'm like willing to be basic with music stuff. I've gotten more advanced over the years, but I'm still relatively basic.
Oh, I can make some snide remarks, but
At me?
Anybody.
Oh.
Music wise.
Got you.
It's screamo. No, technically it's prog deathcore.
Prog, like progressive deathcore.
Yes.
Yeah. So Hunter, how about, because we have fans that maybe don't know about our entire network and they just kind of come on and listen to us talk about music. Can I explain what Wingman of the Year is and sort of what we're working on as a group here as a project?
Well, that is a loaded question, Max.
I know, my friend.
I've been trying to hone in on what it actually is. Building a brand. It's, man, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a melting pot of talent and audio masterpieces, and I don't know. It's a digital media brand, and I don't know. We got a website. We make T-shirts, but I mean, deeper in the brand, the whole Wingman thing, it means a lot more to me. But I think when we finish the story of Wingman of the Year, it'll promote a culture of like people looking out for people, look out for your friends, look out for your family, whether it's like the classic sense of being a wingman with like helping your boy at the bar get a girl or whatever. You know, I mean, I mean it from like every sense. Dragging your buddy home drunk from the bar, you know, just being there for your friends, like anything. Like, oh, does that make sense? I don't know. Do you got any?
No, you're good, dude. I like that.
Like it's still a work in progress, but
Oh yeah, I mean I know we're on the ground up.
yeah. I apologize. I got this NBA Dynasty draft right here, and I am up. You guys want to help me make a pick real quick?
Yeah, we'll do a pick live
Let's
on
do
the
it.
air. NBA draft. This is round 3, right?
No, this is round 5, pick 12.
Oh, 5. Okay.
Shit. Okay, Kyle Lowry's available.
Okay.
I don't
Who
like
else?
any of these. I apologize. This is bad radio, Max. You're gonna have to cut this out.
No, we're keeping it. Most likely.
Dude. Oh my god.
Kyle Lowry. Who else he got?
There's nobody.
I think you should pick nobody.
Clint Capella,
Is Jimmer Fredette on the list? I
little local superstar.
love me some
Yes.
Jimmer. That's like back with my Momo days. That was
That
like
was your man crush.
that was my ongoing joke that he was my man crush. Yes, yeah.
I mean, my boy from Dallas he's probably not available. though.
Porzingis.
No, not Porzingis.
Oh, Luca. Yeah,
Luka, yes.
I thought you had a thing for Porzingis too. No,
I did for a little bit. And I don't know.
you always like those European ones.
Steve Nash, Dirk, yeah, I love those guys.
Oh my god, I panicked and I got Marcus Brogdon and James Wiseman. It's a dynasty draft. Okay,
Oh,
you
hedging
get my
your
full
bets.
attention again. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, no, I think WOTY is great. I'm really excited about the collaborators and everything. I'm really pumped for one of our newest additions, Wingman Sportsbook. Shout out to Chris.
Yeah,
Dude, he's
Chris,
going hard on the Instagram story. Did you see that?
yeah, he just came on board like 3
This
days
week.
ago now. So sports gambling is huge now, especially with them like legalizing it like almost everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you can do it online in more places, like in Vermont there.
Yeah, we need that.
But so I don't know. We're trying to get a little bit of everything. Like I feel bad sometimes because I don't really have my niche. Like because winging it's kind of just literally winging it. And you guys got more of a niche, like like who your listeners are and whatnot. I mean,
Mhm.
I do got to work more on wingman business. Max was my first guest on that, and we
That
put
was
that
fun.
out. So I think a bit more business stuff behind the scenes of Wingman of the Year will be my niche. But
No, I think it's awesome. I love doing that series with you, and I think you should go on.
Yeah.
For some of your fitness stuff. That you,
Oh, yeah.
that you have
no,
going on.
I'm looking to get some more people on there. Because interview based is the best way to do a podcast because you don't really need to come up with too many topics. You just got to ask the questions and let the person do the talking.
Oh, right. Yeah, no doubt.
'Cause winging it, I got to come in like prepared with some topics. Like I got to search Twitter for who Jake Paul's fighting next, and it's just like crazy. It's
The pressing questions of our time, right?
Is Nate Robinson still sleeping?
I think so. Just a
he
little
might
bit.
be. He represented. I might draft him next with my next pick.
Yeah, he's still in the league.
No, he got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. So I think if we're ready, we'll dive into this burning musical journey that Hunter has wanted to do. He said if he came on, and not that he wouldn't come on other times, but his first pressing issue is he wanted to talk about this, and I'm going to let you present it.
Well, I grew up being a huge fan of the American Pie series, for reasons I'm sure you could guess. But let's just start here. It was we could talk about anything on here. You're sure?
Of course.
Well, I saw some of my first boobs in those movies. It's
I love the boobs.
It's like one of those things like you just like with like OJ Simpson, like you remember where you were. I wasn't born yet, but for OJ, but you remember where you saw your first boob
Yes.
and what movie it was. And I don't think that was my first, but it was one of them. I think weirdly enough, we'll just go down this rabbit hole. Why not? From what's that movie with George Clooney, the vampire one? Is it From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yes.
My first boobs were vampire boobs.
Yeah.
It's probably why I'm so fucked up now.
Maybe.
Yeah, but overall, like what we're getting in here with the music aspect of it, American Pie. I was talking to Max before the show when we were talking about it, a little prep. American Pie, the first one. What do they rate movies out of? Like 4 out of 4 stars? I think
Usually 4 or 5.
before Rotten Tomatoes came out. Yeah,
Depends.
Like usually
it's
5.
the highest you can get, or what? It's 4 or 5, whatever the highest is. And people are like, some people are like, really? But the first movie it's like the ultimate like coming of age movie. It's not like, yeah, sure, there's some boobs in it and whatnot, but it's got everything in it, like coming of age, like friendship, and like you're getting older. It's got everything, and then it's got great music. It's got great music. It's not my favorite one. I actually like American Pie 2. And when we get a little deeper into it, I think American Pie 2 is my favorite because of the music. So, I don't know.
So you want to
What do you
cover the greatness of the American Pie catalog's soundtrack. That's what you're bringing to Streaming Cassettes.
You show me. I just want to talk about Blink 182, some Sum 41, all that classic music that, just 90s, baby.
It's pretty solid.
When times were simpler.
I know RJ was doing some deep Discog dive this week or today more about it.
It was bringing back the memories.
Yeah, I'm nervous what side RJ is going to be on.
So I kind of know where he was going to go with
my
it, and I knew where you were going to go with it. And I haven't said where I'm going to go with it, but how about RJ? If you want to tackle it first, I just want to know which one I'm looking at here on Wikipedia.
Okay, well, I didn't know how to go about it, so I just gave Max my favorite one. I will say American Reunion soundtrack wasn't as strong as the first 3. I will say that. But American Wedding, the first, I would say half of that soundtrack, every song is almost a banger. I mean, it starts with Foo Fighters, Sound Like These. It starts, and then it goes to the anthem by Good Charlotte.
Yeah, that's prime.
And then you get Newfound Glory. The Hell Song by Sum 41. Swing, Swing by All American Rejects. Classic.
Yeah, that's pretty underrated.
An unreleased song by, at the time she was big, Avril Lavigne. A awesome cover of Laid by Matt Nathanson. American High Five, which I'm not a big fan of, but all the songs they released from American Pie are good. They're all good. And then you have a song by, I don't know the next one. It's called Fever of the Flavor, which I'm not too familiar with.
I've heard of Hot Action Cop somewhere, though.
Yes, I've heard of them. They have Give Up the Grudge by Gob, which I never heard of at that time. Heard that song, like, oh, it's a great song. They have another classic, Bouncing Off the Walls by Sugar Cult.
That's a good
Then
one.
after that, it gets a little iffy, but I would say even after that, some of the songs are pretty decent.
Blue October's on that album?
Yeah.
That's funny.
See, this is where some of those you said and you were like, you knew them. And I was like, I don't know who the hell that is. I know, like Max said earlier, he said he's the basic bitch of the show. I'm going to be the basic bitch for this episode. Like, if it ain't an American Pie, like, movie for, like, in a main scene, or it's not on the radio, I don't know music. So I'm totally out of my element here. But, so American Wedding's your favorite one?
Yes.
So I'll say this. You said American Reunion's bad compared to the rest. Because I think it came out in 2012, which makes me feel old as fuck.
Yes, it did.
Like that doesn't feel like 8 years ago. There's songs on there. I don't think it's the best one either, but there's songs on there, like some big name ones. And some like throwbacks on there.
Yes, there are.
Definitely not my favorite. Like it's got like 303, it's got some Spice Girls, Cobra Starship, little My Chemical Romance, got Good Charlotte as always. A little bit of Bump and Grind. It's got Closing Time.
It does, yes.
And that is a GOAT song.
I think with Reunion, I get torn up is like some of these songs are actually awesome songs I love, but they came out like way separate from this soundtrack. Versus I think the first 3, a lot of those songs were either like released around the same time. It was more periodical to the time of the movie. Versus this one's a little more of a nostalgia trip. So I think that needs to be weighed into it too. Because obviously, like My First Kiss is I think it's a good like fun pop song, and Rum Shaker obviously, but those songs were released on their own way before this movie came out. So like one thing was I think the soundtracks when we talk about it is how much are these songs associated with these movies and like the whole like era of like early 2000s pop punk.
Say movies or boobies?
Movies, but movies too.
I'm sorry, I couldn't. That was a real question.
Movies. Yeah, like I'll Make Love to You by Boys and Men. Obviously a great like grown ass man making love to his wife, deep voice. But that song was not built for American Reunion. It was a banger in '92. You know, like
yeah, I think it was made. Well, it came out. I don't know when American Wedding came out. Definitely came out sometime after.
2003.
It was 2003. Yeah, so almost 9 years later. I think it was made more just to like put a movie out and like let's end this series and get another paycheck almost. So they just threw some popular songs in.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not my favorite. American Pie 2 is, and because we got the best song 41 songs there are, Fat Lip and In Too Deep. And then I love one of my favorite parts of it is the opening song, Every Time I Look for You. That is like, I get jacked up with that opening fucking scene. Like, oh, like the thing with American Pie is like with the big songs with it, I can like picture the scenes for the most part. And I'm just like, when I hear the songs, I'm like, yep, that's that scene. And Fat Lip, when I first did Winging It before we rebranded, when I stopped, was the intro to Winging It podcast. I think it just sets the tone, and that's what I wanted to do. Like, some crazy shit's about to happen.
Yeah, that song does kind of make that scene in American Pie 2.
Yeah. And then American Pie, the original one, didn't really have much.
No. It was pretty weak.
Yeah,
well, it's weird because like a lot of the bands are like relatively decent size. Some of them like probably a third of the playlist or the album, but you're right. Like it's weird cuts they took.
And I saw the soundtracks. I went on YouTube, so I don't even know if they were accurate as heck or whatever. I was just going through the YouTube playlist. It wasn't like IMDb. So I think these are accurate for the most part. I will say that.
During the research of American Pie, what was weird is on the first one, there was songs that were more like, I think, relevant and popular, and they were in the movie, but not in the soundtrack.
Yes, that did happen.
Does anyone know why? Or just kind of probably, it was a newer concept of a movie, so I bet you like the music studios were probably like, yeah, we're not going to like take a chance on the rights of these.
All right. Probably. American Pie is like the first of its kind, man. Like I've heard some interviews. Who's the guy that plays? Is it Jason Biggs?
Yes.
I heard him on an interview, and they were talking about like when that movie came out, like they marketed it like weird, like I don't know. It was like would it come up like the trailer would come up? It'd be like a big like red rated R, and they didn't like show too much for it, but like everybody had to go see it. Like the way they marketed it was like cool. But it's interesting that.
They should do that nowadays.
Yeah, seriously.
They need to do that nowadays. They show way too much in trailers nowadays.
Yeah, they give the whole movie away.
Yep.
You know what's really interesting when I'm browsing through this? This is the list of, just some highlights of the songs that were in the film but not featured on the soundtrack for the first one. You have Semi-Charmed Delight for Third Eye Blind. You have 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies. See, if these are on the album, then it'd be like some firepower. Obviously, like Mrs. Robinson by Simon and Garfunkel, like more of a play on things in that movie. At Last, Etta James, and then How Sweet It Is by Marvin Gaye.
That was like, supposed to be an American Pie?
Those are in American Pie, but not on the soundtrack.
Oh.
They got played in the movie. Like, if you watch it, those pieces were played in the movie.
Well, I think somebody did a karaoke to that.
Maybe that's why it was underwhelming looking at the list.
Yeah, if you look at the list of what they sold to people, it's like, you know, I mean, Mutt by Blink is definitely some of that 99, 98 vibe, but then, like, the rest, you know.
That was the weak Blink years when they were just punk and didn't have Travis Barker.
Oh, that's pre-Travis?
Yes.
Keeping with the music stuff in American Pie, let's not forget the cameo by Blink 182 in American Pie. So, the scene with Nadia, probably the most iconic American Pie scene besides Jim fucking the pie.
Yep.
Classic. Awesome move. But yeah, when Nadia is like masturbating in Jim's room and he goes over to his friend's house to just what I don't know. That thinking about that, I'm like, why did he do that? Like, did he just want to watch her sit in his room? Because he didn't think she was gonna masturbate. No, I'm thinking about it. Weird move.
Right. Yeah, because they were kind of just, it was a little bit of voyeurism. They were just hoping something would happen because they plugged the camera in there, right? Wasn't that the whole thing of like?
Yeah, and for someone like Jim that lacks a lot of confidence, crazy move to be like, yeah, I'm gonna like let my friends watch me with this girl, and I like got no experience with the girls. Crazy move. I mean, and
Some
that's another
ignorance is bliss, right?
What's that?
Some ignorance is bliss, I guess.
Yeah. And like another thing is that I think why the American Pie like took off so much, like also with the good music, is in the coming of age. It was like when the internet just started going, like you see, like you watch that scene. I watched like a highlight because I was like really trying to get my shit ready for this. The old fucking desktop and like old webcam, and it's all like grainy footage. It's like, and then because that came out in '99, and we had like Y2K right after that. I still don't know what that's all about, by the way, either.
You don't?
Wow. I do. I mean, I've heard like people are scared the year was going to turn 2000 and the computers are going to reset.
So what year were you born? Let's
94.
Okay. So you're 26.
My sister's age, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I have a sister that's that age too. So, like, because I'm 31, you're 30, right? You just hit the 30. So, yeah, like Y2K, they thought that shit wasn't going to turn over and everything was going to go dark and shit.
That's insane.
Yeah. I remember, like, they I don't know about, like, you guys, but I know, like, my school, they kind of had, like, granted, we were on Christmas break, so it wasn't the worst thing, but there was, like, a protocol, like, we're going to do this and that if something happens, and
I just had an idea. We should do like a little YouTube video. I don't know. We'll have to find like young kids to do this with, but we'll try to explain to them and record it of what Y2K was.
Or like just different things.
See if they can comprehend it and see how much sense it makes to them. I think the reactions would be priceless.
I like there's stuff where I feel old whenever they'll show songs from like 2005 to 2010. And like they don't know any of them, like even more that recent. I'm like, oh my god, I feel old.
Right.
Yeah.
Albums are turning 20 years and shit.
So when did you like? So if you're basically 5, so I can't imagine you were watching American Pie as a 5-year-old. When did you start watching those movies?
I think I saw the second one first, and that's why it sticks with me the most.
Okay.
And, I did that too.
So I remember my parents got it. And they like watched the movie in like their room, and I'm like, I want to watch it. I was like a little kid, and they're like, no, you're not watching this. And I ended up watching it anyway because when you're told no, like, you know,
you get suspicious, anyway.
Yeah. So I ended up watching it. I was like, holy fuck, this is insane. You know, and that's how that started. But I think the most iconic scene for me with Fat Lip, like we were talking about this pre-show again, is when they're going to the lake house. It's like their first summer back from college. And then Oz is like, hey, Kevin, like, I've been running the numbers. I don't think we can afford this lake house, man, just like off summer jobs. And he's like, yeah, I was kind of thinking about that, so I invited someone else. And then it like flips the scene, and they're in the truck, and Stifler's there. And he's standing in the back of the truck, and they kick on Fat Lip, and he's slapping on the roof of the truck. And then I was like, oh my God. And this is making me think when I'm like older, like when I started drinking some beers, it just made me want to drink more beers. And now whenever I drink beer, I throw on fucking Fat Lip. And I don't know. It's the only music I listen to.
That's pretty interesting. So you really haven't like, I mean, obviously you probably realm in the other genres, but are you kind of mainly always been in that like sort of like a pop punk vibe?
I'm the worst at finding new music. It has to find me. Somebody has to show it to me. I'm not one of those people that like goes out and like, that's not how I consume content. I'm pretty old school with it. Like, I don't know, like I'm not like, I can't remember the names of albums. Like I'm so bad with it. Like if there's a song on the radio, I'm like, I don't know the name of the song. Like I'm awful with it, but that's just how I am. But
hey, no, I mean, everyone has different ways they enjoy stuff. and it can't be. We're not gonna music shame you by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, well, I'll tell the story that yeah, fucking RJ's gonna get on me over here, man. Did you tell him about your fucking when you came on the Are You Smarter Than a Wingman?
Yeah, I told him about the Pink Floyd botchery. Yes, he
Yeah,
gave
I'm
me
like,
shit
oh
for
my
that.
god, this is not a good look for streaming cassettes here.
Should have been me.
I didn't know it either.
At least I said an album from Pink Floyd. I just said the album before it.
The wall actually has like a wall on it.
I know. As soon as I said it, I'm like, fuck, that was not the answer. And that was the Dark Side of the Moon. And I literally felt like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you ended up winning.
In like freaking insane fashion, like 12,000 points.
The weirdest fucking things too.
Yeah,
like Mike Ditka.
Us two would get it wrong, and then he'd be like, get the third option, and then
yeah, I got a couple yes/no ones I banked on.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I just lost it because that thought came into my head. It was something we were talking about earlier.
Oh, you were asking about the music.
I lost it.
Like as far as like how you consume music, like you don't know as many songs as like other people, maybe.
Yes, that's it. So I told you the story. I think I was in like second or third grade. This is how bad I am with music. And I remember the teacher was like, all right, like we had a sheet of paper. It's like, write down like your favorite food, write down your favorite like music artist and your favorite actor. So I'm over here like it's like a fucking SAT. Like I'm like nervous as fuck. And I'm like, I got to get something down because it's going to be embarrassing if I don't have something. And all these kids are all gung ho and fucking throwing Kids Bop shit on there. And I'm like, fuck. I asked the kid next to me, I'm like, what did you put for like your favorite music? And he put Shaggy. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's mine too. So I put it down, but I thought it was like Scooby-Doo Shaggy. So I put Shaggy, and I'm so cringeworthy, the memory in my head of me telling the teacher my favorite artist was Shaggy. And then, but sure enough, because I'm more of a visual person, like with the movies, hence why we're doing American Pie.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my favorite actor in my like second, third grade. I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings at the time. I put Elijah Wood as my favorite actor. Like, whose favorite actor is Elijah Wood? Like, come on now. It's like insane that I know Elijah Wood and I can't think of a single band.
I mean, it's impressive though, in a weird sense.
I don't know. I've just always been like more into movies and stuff. Like, I like music, but we were talking about this earlier too. I think what makes movies, what will separate a good movie from a bad movie, is absolutely the music. And I saw a quote before. Steven Spielberg, I don't know if I got the percentage right. He said something like 90% of movies is sound. And it's true if you think about it. Think of any scene in any movie, you take the music out of it, it's not the same. You know what I mean? And then I was also saying, like, the Spider-Man series, you got 3 different Peter Parkers and whatnot, and I catch heat for it, but my favorite Spider-Man movies are the second ones with Andrew Garfield. And a lot of people are like, no, blah, 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 blah. But the reason why is I watched all those in theaters, and it makes me feel, when I watch those movies, I could remember the feeling. And that's the shit that sticks with me. If it gives me a feeling, it sticks with me, and it makes me feel a certain type of way. I remember like the final battle scene where he was like going to fight the fucking lizard, and I was just so amped up and in the moment, and it was the music. It was just orchestra fucking music, like getting jacked up. I'm like, music makes you feel a certain type of way, and I'm sure you guys could agree with that since you're doing a music podcast.
I'm curious your takes because I saw he's a very much so RJ in the former life had a show called Twin Geeks. So the comic scene, he's definitely strong in as well. I saw you have a reaction when he said Garfield for Spider-Man.
I'll say this. There is a rumor that they're all coming back and they're going to do like a Spider-Verse kind of thing, which would be awesome.
That's crazy that they could do stuff like that.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I'll give him this. It wasn't his fault that the movies did not do well. I think he was fine he brought a different perspective from it, and I don't think people liked it as much. I think he was fine as Peter Parker. I don't think he was the best, but he was fine. And I don't know why people shit on it so much, Like, I think the movies weren't great, but I think he was fine as Spider-Man. And it's not his fault that the movies not too good. It was Sony and the writing. Like, the writing's really bad. Like, I'm a film critic too, so when you sit and watch that movie, it's like, oh God, but he did well for what the script was. I'll give him that.
Do you have a favorite?
It's hard for me because I grew up in the 90s and they had a cartoon Spider-Man. And Tobey Maguire's was based off the cartoon. But
he ruined Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, that we don't talk. But Tom Holland is the closest to the comics, so I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I like Tom Holland more.
So much. I know he's technically supposed to be a kid. He just seems he's so much younger than the other two.
Like, the problem I have though is that they're trying to make him Iron Man. Like, they're trying to make him the leader. And Spider-Man was never a leader.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about the newer ones is it's tied too much into the Avengers, like Iron Man's like, and it's like, come on, like, you know, because they all have their standalone movies, but someone's always popping in on the two he's had so far. But yeah, I don't know. So I remember Spider-Man, like the first one. I remember when I fell in love with that, the very first one, Tobey Maguire. I watched that nonstop. I remember my brother, he'd be like, "You're watching this movie again."
It was so good for the times.
And you want a hot music take? You want the hottest music take you've had on this podcast?
Bring it.
Hero by Nickelback slaps.
If you take the guy from Saliva out, it's a banger.
But I associate pretty much all the music I like with movies. I will have a bias towards the song if I like the movie.
To be honest, my favorite movie is Inception. And the second time I watched it, I'm like, holy shit, this music is so good. Like, it gels with the movie.
Inception's a really good movie.
Yeah.
That's why they have awards like it was the Oscars, right? Like for like best music and whatnot. And like that's like a legit thing.
John Williams is a genius. He's done Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter. Like, and everybody knows those theme songs. Like, you hum it to somebody in the street, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's Jurassic Park, or that's Star Wars, or that's Harry Potter." It's like, yeah, one guy made all those songs.
That's insane.
And it's crazy how a song can just make you feel and just associate you with all those old feelings, and you just instantly think of something. Sounds powerful. Like when you get down to it, it's insane.
It is.
It's an underrated. It's probably the most underrated of the five senses.
People do not appreciate theme songs as much as they think.
One thing I was surprised you didn't bring up, Hunter, because you were telling me this when we had our like pre-meeting. I thought you were gonna drop your other hot take. How you think the American Pie soundtracks are the greatest of all time for soundtracks?
I think so. I see. I'm not like that big into it, but there's. Like I said, I Wingman of the Year is also a way for me to hang out with my friends and drink beer in the long run.
Yeah.
That is so. Because the whole idea behind Wingman of the Year is how do I do that? And we got to record ourselves doing dumb shit and talking to each other. So when I drink beer, if that's what I want to do for a living, I want to be listening to Fat Lip and In Too Deep. You know what I mean? And that's it. So I don't know.
But it's tough because what is the greatest movie soundtrack? I don't know. I mean, those are very time oriented and they're very prominent for pop punk. I don't know if they would have. Well, they would have had commercial success, but I think it wouldn't have been as cemented in the like general culture back then if it wasn't for those movies.
It was a good introduction for me, though.
Yeah, you have a little backstory on that.
It was a great introduction to me for that genre. I mean, I always like Blink and Some are still one of my favorites, and I still love their newer stuff too. But what it did for me is it introduced other bands of the genre, like Good Charlotte and American High Five and all those guys. And even like the underground ones like Gob and a couple other ones. I have to get it off my list, but even Green Day has a freaking song on.
Oh yeah, Green Day does. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nice introduction because I had the American Wedding soundtrack actually as a CD. So
Oh
It was
wow.
a nice introduction to all those bands.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much because nostalgia is a huge thing now. So we're I think right now in these past couple years, I think Stranger Things is what kicked it off. So that's like a iconic sound now too.
Mhm.
Um, the '80s is huge right now, and I'm thinking the next couple years, the '90s are gonna make a comeback here and shit like that with nostalgia and like because the trends always come back. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then I don't know. You might see it. It's gonna come back.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's because it's kind of like you get to an age of adulthood and you're thinking about your younger years. That's why I feel like, yeah, like 80s, 90s for sure. Actually, I think the early 2000s, or like that 2000s era is going to be the next one in this decade, I think. And then as far as soundtracks, I was trying to think of some other ones that are really prominent in my mind that are like known as like goats. But it depends on your taste in music because there's people that'll say like the Titanic soundtrack's amazing, but that's a very much like, Celine Dion and then just a bunch of classical music. I don't have the set list in front of me, but like the Black Panther one is one of the more recent ones of note that I feel like people raved about. That was a really good one. I mean, he had 3 hit songs off that album. Stars. I gotta pull it up now. I got it earlier, but yeah, like that's a good one. I don't know. Is there any soundtracks you can think of that you really dig, RJ?
Not really. The Inception one's good. Because what that soundtrack does actually, like, you can literally imagine the movie again when you're listening to it, which is hard to do. But Pulp Fiction's really good. Anything that Tarantino does, like, if you want a guy who does music well in movies, like actual music, not like their own shit like Hans Zimmer does, Tarantino's up there with John Williams. But he picks the each scene so specific for that song, and it just goes with it. Like Caught in the Middle with You, I can't listen to that song now because in Reservoir Dogs, a guy cuts another guy's ear off, and that's all I think about.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, that type of stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go back to Black Panther, it's All the Stars was the big one. King's Dead, that's a song goes hard, and then Pray for Me. Those are like the big 3 off that album. You know what album's actually really good? And I can't believe I'm going to say this because my wife loved this movie, and it's not like normally my wheelhouse, but like reflecting, I'm like, you know what? It slaps. The Greatest Showman actually slaps pretty damn hard.
Oh yeah, I know a bunch of people like that.
Yeah, at first when I watch it, like, because I'm not like, I'll watch musicals, but I feel like sometimes it's really like, I don't know, it feels overplayed at times, the musical genre. But that one, I was like, there's actually tracks on this where I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. And then the fact that they remade the entire album with artists like just doing covers, like the fact like Panic at the Disco did The Greatest Show, and then I'm trying to think, there's one with like Ty Dolla $igns is in one, and like Kesha did a song, and like all these different people. Zach Brown Band did a song. It's just kind of crazy that they had this whole remake of an album. But that's one more recent that I'm like, okay, that soundtrack was pretty resounding.
I thought of a couple more. I was trying to think of movies that just have memories with me.
Mm-hmm.
And one that I thought of, you guys might not agree, but Triple X, the first one.
Oh.
Some Let the Bodies Hit the Floor right at the beginning, and that one's because I remember going. That's the one movie I can remember going to the movie theaters with my father.
Mm-hmm.
That sticks me. And I was doing some association. Vin Diesel, Fast and the Furious might be on there.
Oh yeah, I bet some of those
ton of movies, but maybe just based off like more like popular songs now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're just trying to milk the shit out of that franchise. So, I think they like threw Post Malone on there at the end with like Candy Paint. I don't even know what movie that was or what one they're on at this point. But
was there any other? I'm trying to think of some other ones. I was trying to remember like some of the Step Up movies had good soundtracks. Like the first one had a couple songs, but then that probably got overplayed. God, I'm trying to think. What's hard is you listen to like you think of how good the movie is. Oh, I know a good question, Hunter. So you like American Pie 2 from the soundtrack angle. Is that actually your favorite American Pie movie as well?
The plot line, it'd have to be American Pie. There's a reason it was rated so high. But 2 does stick with me. I was sheltered as a kid, And that's probably why I'm trying to start a podcast network and, sell beer drinking frat t-shirts and whatnot. But I was sheltered, and I always hated the fact that I never got to like go to college, like away to college. I always wanted to go to a state school and flunk out.
Like just do that whole experience.
Yeah, so I feel like I was neglected that chance, and maybe I'm going through a midlife crisis, and that's why we're doing this. But
Maybe.
that always like that's always those movies were why I like wanted to go to college and whatnot, and that's like when they're getting out of college, and like it's like I don't know, like I've always been really friend like oriented. I'm not very close with my family, but I've always like Tyler, my co-host, he's my fucking best friend. I used to sleep on his couch, and I don't know, just like the friendship like vibes and whatnot, and like how life does get in the way sometimes, and like they're like overcoming shit, and I don't know, it is definitely, I think, probably my favorite. If I had to watch one over and over, it'd be American Pie 2.
Interesting.
Because they didn't have the budget in American Pie 1. It's kind of shitty if you watch it, but
I see what you mean. Like the plot's there, but like some of the angles and maybe like the extras on set and stuff.
Yeah, and then like I said, I think the music's the best in that as well. I don't know. There's just a lot going on with it.
What about you?
Hold on, this draft is beating my ass. I got Tyler calling me.
Jesus.
I drafted 6 centers.
1995 wants your draft strategy back.
You're right. Yeah, I'd say American Pie 2. You just asked favorite movie, right?
Yeah, I was curious if the soundtrack equaled your favorite movie or if it was different. That's why I was kind of curious.
It really heavily influences it. American Pie 2 definitely doesn't have like the best plot line. They somehow mixed a lesbian scene in there. It's a little crazy. Some dildos. It got a little crazy. Jim and Stifler kissed each other. I don't know. It got a little wild, that part, but
it was a liberating experience, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that was before they went totally off the rails and started making like the Beta House movies and like just like, all right, we got to capitalize off the boobs. But
what about you, RJ?
Movie wise?
Yeah.
Probably the first one. That's the one I grew up on. That's the first one I saw. I don't know how old I was because they came out when I was like 9. I think I was watching that, but
yeah,
I loved it the first time I saw it. And funny story. Do you know how I forget all the characters, but one of them was given the shits by Stifler.
Oh yeah.
He snuck something in his coffee. There was a thing going around in my school in Jersey. We had the chocolates that would make people shit.
Oh yeah.
And I almost ate one. I'm like, wait a minute. Why is everybody smiling?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you avoided danger?
I avoided danger, but it was close. I was like, wait a minute. I know this trick. I've seen the movie.
There was a kid in my high school that had that happen. And yeah, the same thing, the chocolates, and he like came in crushing, and he like pretty much donkey punched the guy who did it. And actually they got detention. I was like in the room, like it was a study hall when it happened. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? It was pretty crazy. Shout out to Mike Schmiegel if you see it. He had the shits, yeah.
With that last name, probably.
Oh yeah.
Schmiegel.
Another thing I thought about, I did on Winging It recently. We did a top wingmen in like TV and movies. One that I might have left off the list, it's probably pretty debatable. He's definitely not top 5, but Kevin in American Pie. I don't know. It's weird because they kind of like switch through them. Like Jim's obviously the main character, but the way they like tie in the stories, Kevin was always like, here's the next step. That's iconic line. Every time like I get with the guys and I like, we're doing a little cheers, first beer of the night, I always say, here's the next step. But I don't know. There's so many lessons like in that fucking movie. I don't know. I don't know. I think I like those movies way too much.
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, actually, I was reading on Wikipedia that it's pretty interesting to think that the movie Superbad was heavily influenced by American Pie. That was mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you look at they said that the plot lines, I guess, sort of the directors and stuff, like Superbad's very heavily influenced off American Pie.
Kind of see it.
Yeah. And it didn't hit me till I read that tonight, and I was like, oh, that explains a lot.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great freaking series.
Yeah.
They did good with it.
I mean, unrelated, but I think one of my favorite comedies it's still The Hangover. The Hangover is fucking
Ooh, that's
iconic.
another good soundtrack too.
I was gonna look it up because movie wise, I love The Hangover. It's probably it might be my. That's a tough call because, God, I mean, like Wedding Crashers,
Old School,
Step Brothers. Like there was so many good comedies in the 2000s that's hard for me.
Honestly, if you want to think about what Wingman of the Year is right now, it is Old School. It's a bunch of
streaking now, Max.
It's a bunch of middle-aged men just like just trying to escape the 9 to 5.
Snoop.
The Hangover soundtrack, other than "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins and Stu Song, is quite and Three Best Friends. It's pretty weak. Besides those, although "Can't Tell Me Now" or "Can't Tell Me Nothing" by Kanye is obviously that's the most iconic song in that movie from like an artist. I feel, other than "In the Air Tonight."
Yeah. But you think at the end when the best part of the movie was when they like had the pictures.
Yeah.
During the credits. And what's that song? Right Round, I think it is.
Yeah, by Flow Rider. That's another one.
That's iconic. And then when they get to Vegas, that's a good one too, man. It's fucking draft.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild, but dude, I'm glad that we got you on for this.
Yeah, can I ask one thing before? It sounds like we're trying to end it real quick.
No, you're good. Hey, we can be here all day if you want.
Nice.
Say no more. What's your guys' take on, speaking of like Blink-182 and whatnot? Like I said, I find one song and I stick with it. I'm big into the new MGK album and Bloody Valentine in particular. Fucking love it. I'll listen to that on repeat. What are your thoughts on Travis Barker with like MGK now and like keeping like punk rock alive?
We've kind of talked about that a little bit actually last week, a smidge, but I know you had some more thoughts on that. Or
I think it's great. I think it's good. Thank you, Eminem. Thank you.
I was just gonna say that Eminem burned him so hard he had to switch genres.
Thank you. Travis and him have done collabs before in the past, and
all right.
I think we talk about how Bryn Urie's an asshole to work with and stuff like that, and that's all we hear about. But we don't hear about like Hailstorm and how the lead vocalist is a great person to work with. We don't hear about that all the time. And the thing is why Travis Barker does so many collabs. He's the guy. He's a nice guy. He's down to earth. And that's why he does so many collabs. I mean, if you look up artists and have tons of collabs, it means something. It means they are good to work with. And when you see band members leave, like in Panic at the Disco, there's a reason. So I don't think it's weird at all that MGK and Travis are together, because I think Travis is just so talented that he can pretty much do anything. I mean, if you listen to the newer Blink stuff, like I think his drumming has improved now that Tom's gone and they have to kind of improvise their sounds. I think he's gone off the rails drumming wise, like in a good way.
It's crazy to me that you can listen to a song because I don't, and you pay attention to that, like his drumming's improved. I would never notice that.
He's very analytical. It's good.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that was something to listen to. I can't tell if it's a fucking drum or a guitar.
It's pretty impressive on RJ's behalf. I sometimes like take it for granted how skilled he is with like the analytical breakdown. But
I knew he was. That's why I was nervous to come on. I'm like, I'm gonna get a new asshole that I.
No, you're fine. It's ironic you bring this up though, because we talked about it before, and there's other channels that we watch have discussed this, and the kind of the future of rock right now is not so much in like traditional bands, I think, which could be a negative on them, but more of these solo acts taking different rock elements, and then they're having that iconic sound where you're listening to it and enjoying it, but it's either from like a solo singer or like a rapper. I mean, one of the top songs in the country this year was "Mood" by 24K Golden. It's a song from TikTok, and that song's pretty much like a rap song with like punk rock guitars on it, like straight up. And it's something where you're going to see more and more of that. I think next year I was seeing some stuff, obviously, like what MGK is doing. Miley Cyrus is going for a whole rock thing. I'm not saying like that's my person to listen to all the time, but these artists are going to be bringing these sounds back. Cause like you said, nostalgia. And it's like, all right, well, we already kind of milked, these synthesizers dry, and we milked out this sound dry. So what's the next thing? And they're kind of hitting up this area with like rock, and especially more in the punk scene. I see more than anything.
Not Miley Cyrus, because she's using drum machines. So
yeah, no, I'm guessing with that it's more of like getting a couple guitars here.
For her, it's more of an image. MGK has had elements of some rock because he can kind of sing. So
yeah, throughout his career, he's had that, even when he was rapping.
Right. Switch it up a little bit. RJ, you're vegan deathcore, so you like heavy metal? Okay. Do you know the band Internal Bleeding?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
I'm gonna hook you guys up with someone to interview then, because I know the drummer for that. I used to work with him.
Nice.
Leite.
Oh yeah. I've heard of that name.
Are they like a local band or something?
I've heard of that name.
Yeah, they like tour in like Germany, Japan. Like he goes like everywhere, and he was the drummer. He's in like 3 bands or 2 right now. He's in, Capital Zen. They're a local one.
No.
Yeah. He was in that, but Internal Bleeding's this big one, and he's in another band. But yeah, Internal Bleeding's the big one. I could probably set that up, and yeah, he's the drummer. I went and saw him play once. It's just crazy, man. Like, and that you can like break stuff down. Like, oh yeah, he gets better. And when you said like Travis Barker's like jump around from band to band, it's just I don't know. I guess I can relate it to sports and whatnot. It's just like crazy that you can just go learn like another band's like music and just hop in. It's just like they're an interchangeable part, and I don't know. It's crazy for me to fathom.
As a drummer, you have to have a wide variety of style. You can't just be one thing. You can't just be a rock drummer because, like you said, depends on the times. Like I mostly did metal, but I also was like, when I went to college, I studied jazz just to have that kind of background, just in case the metal and the hard rock doesn't work out. And even rap too. Like some rappers will be like, "Hey, can you record a beat for me on the drums?" And I'm gonna, do all the Two-Man Embassy shit to it and stuff like that. But still, like,
or hell, you have like Anderson .Paak like drumming and rapping at the same time. That's a whole other whirlwind.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, the Two-Man Embassy shit. Shout out to my brother. It's like an ongoing thing. We just do shameless plugs all the time for my brother. I'm surprised he hasn't called, because the last few weeks he's called and I've recorded, and I'm like, yeah, I'm recording. It's great.
Yeah, right. People don't understand.
No, it's fine. He's like VIP. He's one of the few I'll answer on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves that.
But yeah, hopefully I'll set that up for you guys. I've been meaning to get him on there too. He's a great fucking guy. I fucking love him.
That'd be sick.
Crazy what drummers say. I watched him and I'm like, dude, I like waved to him while he was playing. I thought he was looking at me. He was in the zone, man. I'm like, how do you like, because you just keep slapping the drum. I'm like, how do you remember that, man? But I think you just got to go into another place or something.
You do.
It's got to be, you can't think about it. Otherwise you'll fuck up. I don't know. You just got to feel the fucking music.
Fucking feel it.
Crazy.
Well, dude, this is, unless you got more to say, this has been awesome.
I think I've got it all out. I think. Looking at my notes here.
I was gonna say, this is your place to have all the music feelings come out. It's like a therapy session.
I got it out. I gave a Nickelback take. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that was a bold one.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang them up after this.
Like muster up another like 4 months of thoughts musically and then come back.
Yeah, I'll still be listening to the same shit. I'll still be listening to Bloody Valentine on a Friday after work.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Can't beat it, dude. But how can people find you if they want to learn more about like your shows, the network as a whole?
Well, if they don't, they should already be following at WOTY Official.
Yeah.
And at Winging It Pod, and that's Instagram, Twitter, and then my personal is at Hunter WOTY, and then I think you guys got it queued up toward like the recommended channels. Winging It Podcast should be on there too. So if you guys like talking about listening to people talk about jerking off and aliens and being in a simulation and all that good stuff, head over there.
Don't have me on. I will go off on that shit.
Yeah, you guys. I had an episode with Max, but
It was a lost file.
I heard. Yes, I've heard.
well, I'll somehow find it one day. It'll be, lost tapes.
What topic do you want to pop off on, RJ?
Any.
Oh, okay.
Like this is not a shameless plug, but the basement yard's pretty much winging it.
Oh yeah.
Because
With
it
Joe
just
Santiago
they'll
there.
just be like, hey, did you ever like wake up in the morning and you have a boner?
All the time.
Exactly. And then you're like, yeah, it's so stiff I can't even fucking pee. So try to aim and shit.
That's
you're
the
like,
best.
"Fuck."
That's a good one.
You know what the worst feeling is? If we're gonna do a quick dick talk before we leave, is I hate when it's so cold out and you're freaking turtlenecking and shit shrivels up. So then you have to when you have to go pee, you have to reorganize it. That's not gonna be like a fire extinguisher just spewing all over the place. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
When the soldier wants to retreat behind the enemy line, they're just kind of retreat. Yeah, that sucks in the
God.
winter.
I know that all too well.
Here's a pee question.
Okay.
You know how when you got a shit and you're like, fuck, I have to go now or shit's gonna hit the fan. Are you the same way with like peeing? Like, oh my God, if I don't go now. But I feel like peeing, you can like maybe, kind of play around down there, be okay. Like, I think I'm good for a couple minutes.
I feel like it's like different levels, like on a pyramid scheme. It's like level 1, like, okay, Eric, I handle it. And then you calm down and it comes back with revenge, like level 2. And you're like, okay, shit. And then it comes back with like level 3. And then you get to that point where it's like the feeling doesn't go away, the urge, and you're like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta drain the main
Right.
And you're just like, I'm sorry, body, I'm sorry.
You
Yeah,
guys
I can do that shit too.
Oh yeah. And definitely remember, because WOTY is also a merch empire, you get your gear, get your shirts. Coming soon will be a deathcore vegan shirt. I gotta design it.
You do.
I gave you
You
logo.
need that.
Yeah, give me ideas. I gotta just find a font that looks scary.
I'm trying to think of a cool promotion. I want to give wait, I don't know if you guys can think of something quick. Give away like a free streaming cassette shirt. You got any calls to action?
So like first person to like interact with us in some capacity gets a free shirt.
Yeah, send you a DM or something, and I don't know if you can think of something.
Yeah, that'd be dope. I think we got something in the gauntlet we can do.
We can do something.
Yeah,
We'll make you proud, boss.
Yeah.
fucking love it.
Dude, well, thank you so much for coming on. Stay for the
for having
post game, but just letting people know this is Wingman of the Year, the network. The show is Streaming Cassettes. RJ, Max, Hunter, we're all here. We're all rocking. Thank you as always for the love. And get ready for next week. We have a Christmas episode coming, so get ready.
Shalom.
Boom.